and welcome to today's medal presentation of the National Emergency Medal recognising service during the 2019-2020 summer bushfires. My name is Ray Jasper, Senior Assistant Chief Officer Eastern Region, and I will be your MC for today. Before we start, I would like to invite up Jessica, Controller of Wangaratta Unit, to do the acknowledgement of country.
The Victoria State Emergency Service respectfully acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which the rural city of Wangaratta communities reside. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and celebrate and respect their continuing cultures.
Thank you, Jess. To begin with today, I would like to say thank you to all who have been with us here today, and a special thanks to the following: His Excellency General, the Honourable David Hurley, AC, DSC retired, Governor General of the Commonwealth of Australia, and Her Excellency Mrs Hurley. VKS CEO Stephen Griffin and Chief Ops Operations Tim Whitebush, VSM from Victoria State Emergency Service, Rob Van Dorsa, Assistant Chief Officer, Regional Commander, the Country Fire Authority, and Councillor Harry Bussell, Deputy Mayor for the City of Wangaratta, for their attendance and supporting our ceremony today. Most importantly, I'd also like to thank the volunteers and their guests for taking the time to travel here today to be part of this, to share your stories, and as always demonstrated one of our biggest values: together we are the SES. Allowing them to give up their time and don the orange overalls and provide critical support to our communities is vital for SES volunteers and the community. Without your support, our organisation would not exist. You should be proud of the support you've given and the achievements you do, and the loved ones that recognise you as well. Before we begin, just administrative, so if you didn't go to the toilets, they're outside down the steps and around the corner. And if we do need to evacuate, primarily out the doors, out the side. For the recipients, structure for today is individuals will be presented with their awards by unit, surname alphabetical order. Once individuals receive their awards, we ask that you please move off to the side to Stephen Griffin, our CEO, and remain standing until all the unit members have received their awards, and then there will be a group photo of those units. So once all awards have been presented, we will invite recipients back up for a group photo at the end. At the conclusion of the proceedings, you're welcome for family photos or other photos you may wish, and certainly at the conclusion of formalities, light refreshments will be served at the back of the room once we conclude today's ceremony. Thank you. Right, we're going to start with showing a short video that will set the scene for the 2019-2020 fires. I'll make a disclaimer. Some of the footage being shown today could bring back memories for some. If you find any of today's content distressing, you're welcome to leave at any time. And do so knowing that it is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of trauma brought on by this significant event. That you are supported now and always, those around you. So the content. In June 2019, the Queensland Fire Emergency Service Acting Director warned of the potential of an early start to the bushfire season, which normally started in August. The warning was based on the bushfire season outlook, which noted exceptionally dry conditions and lack of soil moisture, combined with early fires observed in central Queensland. Throughout the summer, hundreds of fires burnt, mainly in the southeast of the country, the major fire peak during December to January. From August 2019 to March 2020, fires heavily impacted all states and territories in Australia. In eastern and northeast Victoria, large areas of forest burned out of control for weeks before the fires emerged from the forest in late December into private property. Multiple states of emergency were declared across Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria and the ACT. Reinforcements from all over Australia were called to assist fighting fires and relieve exhausted local crews. The Australian Defence Force was mobilised to provide air support to the firefighting effort and provide manpower and logistics support. Firefighter supplies and equipment from Canada, New Zealand, Singapore and the United States, amongst others, helped fight the fires, especially in New South Wales and Victoria. Shall I show you? We'll begin our medal presentation shortly, but before we do, I'd now like to invite Tim Woodruff, Chief Operations Officer of the Victoria State Emergencies, to come up and speak about this significant event and the awards being presented today. Thanks, Tim.
Well, good morning everybody, and terrific to see all of you here after such a long wait in between ceremonies. I'd like to begin with a welcome and also acknowledgement, particularly of His Excellency General the Honourable David Hurley, AC, DSC, retired, Governor General of the Commonwealth of Australia, and Her Excellency Mrs Hurley, SES CEO Stephen Griffin, and our emergency services partners, our local government, and most importantly, our volunteers and staff, including our friends from Shepparton Search and Rescue, that are here today to receive their 2019-2020 awards. Thank you for taking the time to travel here to acknowledge the tremendous commitment that you've just seen some examples of our members during that period. Every time I see that short video, it really does put back in our minds the size, the scale, the complexity and the significance of those fires that ravaged Victoria during the 2019-20 fires. But more importantly, it also displays the amazing efforts of our people. Members that came from all parts of the state to support communities in their most challenging time of need. During the 2019-20 fire season, Victoria faced its most challenging bushfire emergency since the devastating 2009 bushfires, where geographic scale not seen since 1939. The significant human and property losses and a range of consequential impacts are still being experienced in some parts of our communities even today. Combine that with the fires, as you've just heard, from New South Wales and Queensland, across the country 18.7 million hectares were burnt. Between November 2019 and February 2020, more than 1.5 million hectares of Victoria was scarred by fire. Sadly, 5 people died. Some 313 primary residents, 145 non-primary residents were either destroyed or significantly damaged, along with commercial properties and other outbuildings that were also destroyed, along with a range of community infrastructure, cultural heritage sites and environmental assets. Some of our volunteers also lost property and houses during the fires, which highlights the enormous sacrifice Vic SES members often make when they are out keeping their communities safe. We especially think of the families, friends and colleagues of 3 Forest Fire Management Victoria staff that tragically lost their lives during active duty. Many small regional businesses, including hundreds not directly impacted by the fires themselves, were, and in many ways continue to be, impacted by the events of that season. Tourism was among the most affected industries at the height of the holiday peak and in the long period afterwards. Along with agriculture, logistic and small businesses, there were many effects in our communities right across the eastern part of the state. The huge environmental impact in terms of flora, fauna and waterways is still being assessed, interpreted and also being experienced in some parts. On the positive side, I had the opportunity to visit many of our units not long after the impacts, see exactly what they were surrounded by, those black moonscapes, see firsthand the devastation that the significant fires had had in some of their communities. It was truly eye-opening and put into perspective the long road to recovery that will continue on for many years for some. I acknowledge that for some these memories are still quite raw, and as Ray's already explained, our health and wellbeing supports are there to continue to support all of us as post these sort of events. It was, however, terrific to see how our service banded together, seeing firsthand and hearing of other members that had come from another part of the state to support their fellow volunteers, whether it was supporting evacuations, deploying as part of a task force, going into a community to be part of the standby road rescue crew, undertaking an IMT role, including staging areas and base camps, logistics support, deploying incident air monitoring kits on behalf of the EPA, or reloading firefighting aircraft, everyone that is here today and being awarded a National Emergency Medal has played a critical role in the overall response. We had 124 of our 149 Vic SES units, or the 83% of our units, assisting in those fire operations, making an invaluable contribution in some of the most challenging of conditions. As well as our members' amazing response to the bushfires, Vic SES volunteers were also faced with storms in January and February of 2020, responding to almost 3,300 requests for assistance in 1 week alone. On almost a daily basis, I was receiving terrific feedback, whether it was from the Victorian Premier, the Minister for Police and Emergency Services, other leaders of our agencies in Victoria, and their members as well, each of them speaking so highly of the great work and professionalism that each of you had undertaken on the ground or in control centres. I regularly heard the words, going above and beyond. Be assured that your important and sometimes behind the scenes work did not go unnoticed, and in part is recognised by the presence of their excellencies here with us today. Soon after this campaign, this sentiment was reflected in a simple Twitter tweet from one of our ministers, the Minister for Police and Emergency Services, Lisa Neville, at that time, where she stated, "Thanks to all of our Vic SES volunteers who helped out so many yesterday, on top of the support you're providing in the bushfire areas. On Wednesday the 5th of February, it was humbling to represent you during the sitting of Parliament, where members of Parliament from all parties spoke to the condolences and vote of thanks motions. Almost every speaker in Parliament noted their thanks of Vic SES, and the Chiefs, on behalf of you all, received a standing ovation on departure from the House, signalling how strong their thanks and recognition was for each of you for a job well done." End quote. I'm incredibly proud of each and every one of our members who supported our response during this event, and cannot thank you enough for your tireless efforts in providing critical response to our partner agencies, and also, most importantly, ensuring the safety of our communities. When the skies were turning red or black, our members were in the midst of it, often simultaneously helping others, whilst in some cases trying to protect their own properties and families, which is truly remarkable. An astonishing feat when you think about it, and one that we certainly can't underestimate or understate. Each of you who responded demonstrated and lived out our Vic SES value, "We are part of our community," and our sector mantra of "We work as one." I also want to extend a particular vote of thanks to the family and friends that are here with us on the right-hand side today, that enabled you to be part of these emergencies, sometimes for weeks on end. With all that said, I feel incredibly privileged and proud to be here today to join His Excellency in presenting the National Emergency Medal, Fire Clasps or Medal for the 2019-20 fires. Ultimately, today is about each of you and your individual service to the community. And whilst often you might say, "I couldn't have done it without my team," and that may be true in some cases, be proud of what you've achieved, wear your medal and ribbon with that being proud. Thank you and well done.
Thank you, Tim. I now invite His Excellency, General the Honourable David Hurley, AC retired, Governor General of the Commonwealth of Australia, to come up and speak at this significant event on your work centre today.
Well, good morning all, and thank you for a very kind invitation for Linda and I to be here with you this morning on a very special occasion. We've done quite a number of these presentation events around the country, but each is special. Could I also begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians here in the Order area and thank them for looking after this beautiful part of our country for generation after generation. Pay respects to their elders past and present, and recognise all our VIPs. I won't go through the list, you should know them by now. I'm going to start over here. Can I just thank the families and friends who are here this morning for what you do. Echo Tim's words. Linda and I have been in service for probably about 46 years. I better get that right. 46 years this month. I understand how this works, and I understand that no one can get out and do this work without support at home. So we're deeply grateful to you, and I think you speak here from your fellow Australians for what you have enabled to happen and what you enabled to happen today. Thank you. Could I also just say, every time I see those videos, it does produce a very emotional response. I'm sure it does for those who were on the ground at the time. Linda and I started visiting fire-affected regions in October 2019 from 92-year-old Pam, who lost her house in Peregian Beach in Queensland, the only person to lose their house in the street at 92, all the way around the east coast of Australia to Stokes Bay in Kangaroo Island, where homes were destroyed, communities set off kilter by just the horror of what we experienced at that time. But after all the visits that we went through over that entire period, 5 months, to devastated communities, I'm an optimist for Australia. I'm a real optimist for Australia. I know we have our issues and we have our problems, and sometimes we clash and we yell at each other. Tell me a country that doesn't. But boy, oh boy, are we good people. And you represent that here today. Everybody who put up their hand to say, I can help, showed that characteristic, that strength, that richness of spirit that sits up inside Australians. And why am I optimistic? Because Pam has rebuilt her house, set up her art gallery underneath, still painting at 95. Stokes Bay are rebuilding their community centre, making an environmentally sustainable place better, in fact being assisted by the Prince's Trust of Australia, which was set up by King Charles when he was a young man. The communities all around are growing back, unevenly, still with scars, but all getting off their knees, not down, and rebuilding, recreating, and building great communities back together again. Your story in all that cannot be understated. We don't get to that point if we don't have people prepared to put up their hands, go out and help during these crises. So, anytime I get asked to come and do these medal presentations, I'll be here. Because I want to tell you from your fellow Australians that you are deeply appreciated. Now, I know that all of you, when you come across the stage here, would like to tell me I don't deserve this, I'm just doing it, I don't do this job for medals, all that sort of thing. It's a very Australian characteristic to be humble and whatever. Well, I'm here to tell you today, don't be humble. Okay, don't be boastful, but find a nice spot in the middle there where I want you to be proud today. I want you to say, yes, I can see that my fellow Australians are recognising my commitment, my family's commitment. And the National Emergency Medal you're receiving today is an important part of Australia's honours and award system. So it sits fairly in any other award that an Australian can receive for their contribution to our country. And it says to you that your nation recognises your service, particularly during this particular incident. Service, the Victorian Emergency Campaign lasted for 211 days. That's an enormous amount of time. And I know there'll be some who serve not only in Victoria but other parts of the country, as others in South Australia and Queensland came to help out in different states. So be part of that, be proud of it, wear your ribbon, as Tim said, with pride, because your nation wants to say thank you. We've had a few challenging years here in Australia. In my term alone as Governor-General, the bushfires, then the pandemic, now these major floods around the country. I go back to that comment. I'm an optimist for you. I'm an optimist for our country. You feed that optimism, all of you. And for those you represent in the community who aren't here today, again from me, thank you from your fellow Australians. Thank you for putting others' safety and security above your own. And thank you for having an enormous big heart for our community. Congratulations. It will be a real privilege for me here to present these medals to you today. I don't want to come back and do it again though, so can we have no more of it? I've had enough in my term, I don't know about you. But thank you. Be an optimist for your country. Look at the quality of the people it has, and we're grateful for that. Congratulations.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for those very good words. So in a moment I'll invite medal recipients up with the medal, but I will get His Excellency the Governor-General, David Hurley, up on the stage with the guest CEO, Stephen Griffin, and the Chief of Operations, Tim Wegbush, please. His Excellency explained a bit, but I'll just go through what the National Emergency Medal is. So the National Emergency Medal is a circular medal designed with the Australian coat of arms. The front of the medal depicts a central image of a golden wattle branch. Surrounding that image at the edge, a further depiction of a flowering wattle. The centre of the reverse has the same border as the front, but in the centre it's detailed by inscription, the award and the recipients. The National Emergency Medal ribbon colours match the colours of the Humanitarian Overseas Service medal ribbon. The colours of the ribbon are gold and eucalyptus green. Gold symbolises the Australian sun, optimism and hope. Eucalyptus green complements the symbolism of the medal design. The 7 gold coloured bands represent Australia's 6 states, with the 7th representing the territories. The National Emergency Medal Regulations 2011 was approved by Her Majesty the Queen in October 2011. National Emergency Medal is administered by the Australian Honours and Board Secretary at Government House, which provides secretary support to the National Emergency Medal Committee. National Emergency Medal is awarded to persons who rendered sustained and significant service during a national significant emergency in Australia. The National Emergency Medal has been awarded for Victorian bushfires 2009, Queensland flood 2010-11 and Cyclone Yassi, Tropical Cyclone Debbie 2017 and North Queensland floods 2019. So, we'll start with the recipients. So, we're going to do it, as I said, in unit order. So, if I can start with the Benalla Hume Region Office, please. All right, first recipient, Brendan Corlois.
Turn around so we can see you. Everyone has got this now. This is how we're going to do it.
Second recipient, Shu Shelby.
Stand over there for a moment. Over there. Everyone's watching.
Third recipient, Liz Fraser.
Picture enthusiastic.
Congratulations.
Charlie Sexton. John Yulin. Troy Miller. And James Fuller. All right, Benalla unit. Robert Hunting. Laura Nelson.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations, folks.
Bright unit. Graham Taylor. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Sean next. William McRae. Marcus Warner. Nathaniel West. Russell Maunda. Roy Kennedy. Dermot Manning. Gordon Thomas. And Paul Watson.
Keep going, keep going. No, 2 lines. 2 lines. Yeah, 2 lines. Just into space so I can see the head behind. Thank you.
Well done.
Cobram unit. Wendy. No. Sorry. And John Stella.
Squeeze in. That's it. No choices. Thank you.
Hume Regional Unit, Ian Shelby.
Stay with that, shall
King Lake Unit, Lee Bradstreet. And Wayne College.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mansfield Unit, Rod Olsen. And Lynn Olsen. Myrtleford Unit, Nerily Keesing.
That's it.
Seymour Unit, Christine Welch. Morgan Jewell. and Lisa James. Shepparton Search and Rescue. Michael Elliott. And Damien Williams. Secure unit. Becca. Tangata unit. Mary Aldridge. Melanie Oneno. Russell Jensen. Debbie Fernandez. And Anthony Wilson. Wangaratta unit. Graham Walker. And Jess Zidder. Wodonga unit. Ronald Hartnell. Karina Newton.
Sorry.
I didn't know you do overhauls.
Sorry, my fault. Thank you. Sorry.
Scott Haslow. Andrew Simpson. Lisa White. Christian Solak. Timothy Newley. Cameron O'Brien. Michael Roach. Megan.
Two lines, just 2 lines.
Smile, relax.
Happy days. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yakandanda unit. Shane Hill. And Michael Sitaki. Yarrawonga unit. Jason Borger. And Gerald. Ladies and gentlemen, that ends the formal meditation procedure. Could you please stand and join me once again congratulating today's medal recipients. Please stand, other medal recipients. Once again, well done to all recipients on their valuable contributions to support the fires in 2019-20, representing Big S. Your efforts, as acknowledged in the media and by impacted communities in support of the response and relief activities at the time of need, was outstanding. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's ceremony. On behalf of the Victoria State Emergency Service, thank you for your time today and coming today. And I invite you to participate in some refreshments we'll provide shortly up the back. But a special thanks once again to His Excellency General, the Honourable David Hurley, AC, who's retired, Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia, and Her Excellency Mrs Hurley, for taking time out of your extremely busy schedule, we know it's an extremely busy schedule, to acknowledge the contribution of our members and be here and join us today. So thank you for your time. That concludes, as I said, refreshments we've got at the back. We're just going to get all recipients up to take a photo of all the recipients on the stage. It will be a tight squeeze, but we're going to try to get a big group photo. So that concludes the formal part.